and welcome to the Gathering in Quarantine, Terry's Travels. I'm Terry Malisi, and I want to welcome you. Hi, Mike.
Hey Terry, how we doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm so looking forward tonight. I get my little foggy background going on here, and so that gives the people a clue of what we're doing tonight. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. And what is tonight all about?
We are going across the pond for a London dinner. And on the menu tonight, we're going to have a British garden salad, a steak pie, mushy peas, and apple sponge pudding. How does that sound?
Sounds delish. Let's get started.
Okay, so we're going to start with the apple sponge pudding. And what I have is 3 large apples chopped, 8 tablespoons of butter, 8 tablespoons of sugar, 2 eggs, a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 8 tablespoons of flour. Now, I heated the oven up to 375. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take these apples and I'm going to pour 2 tablespoons of water over them. And I'm going to cover it loosely with saran wrap. And I'm going to put it in the microwave for 2 minutes to lightly steam them.
Wow, that's
Okay.
interesting.
So I'm going to put those in there, and I have to take a couple of things out of the microwave. Okay. And so what this will do, it will soften up the apples. And then we're going to put them in this prepared baking dish. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. And while that is going, I am going to put the butter in the bowl, and I'm going to add the sugar because I'm going to beat this until
Now,
it's
is
fluffy.
that a softened butter, or is it like
It
have you
is,
left
as
out
you
room
can
temp?
see.
Very
You see
good.
that?
I see that. Excellent.
Nice and soft. So I'm just going to start beating it just a bit until it gets nice and blended. I know. It's always dangerous when I get one of these in my hands, right?
Absolutely. That and a knife.
That's right. That's right. So we have about a minute to go with the apples. And so you want to beat this until it's nice and creamy. Okay. So that's kind of looking pretty good. Have to move this around. And then we're going to add 1 egg and beat that in. And now it's really getting nice and mixed and looking more like a batter. And we're going to alternate with flour so that, have to grab the apples. Okay. Here we go. Those are beautiful. And what we're going to do here, we're going to put the apples into, you can see the steam coming off.
Yeah, I can see it. It looks pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm just going to use my pot holders very carefully. And dump those in. Okay. Then we'll just move these around and get these off the table. And we'll continue on with the batter. Okay. So you want to alternate the eggs and the flour so that the eggs don't curdle.
Right.
Okay. Now I'm going to add the other egg. That will moisten it up very nicely. There you go. And then we're going to add the rest of the flour. Okay. I'm getting pretty good at this baking stuff, huh, Mike?
Yeah, I noticed that. You seemed your confidence, and of course, instead of doing a show like every other month, and you're doing them every other week, your confidence has been getting so much better as a baker.
Thanks, Mike. Glad you noticed. Now, while this is beating, I'm going to add the vanilla. Oh, and it smells wonderful.
Well,
Okay.
Terry, we do have a YouTube message.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's to me or you, because the message says, "Hair looks great," and that's from Abby Zane. So I'm not sure if she's talking about my haircut or yours.
Hi, Abby. I love and miss you. She's my great niece.
There you go.
She's not only my great niece, she's a great niece.
So I guess that comment was directed to you. Okay.
And I want to say hi to Kate, her sister, and Tara, her mother, who is my niece, and also her godmother. So
there you go. Now,
yeah,
are they local?
They're in New Jersey.
Oh, there you go. Well, hello, New Jersey.
Yep, and Kate and Abby are star swimmers.
Really?
Yes, so they are forever breaking records and competing all over the place. They just got back from Florida, where Abby competed and did very well. Yeah, so very proud of them. I love them dearly. So it's very nice to know you're watching.
There you go.
Yeah. So here you go.
What's that step? You just lay it in, layer it in?
Yep. You just put it in over the apples, and I'm going to put it into the 375 oven for 40 minutes. So hold on one second while I do that. Okay. I'm going to turn on the light. I'm going to turn on the timer, 40 minutes. All right. So let me move these over, get these out of the way, so we can be on to our next dish, which is the steak pie.
I was going to assume steak pie.
Yes. Now, over in England, you'll see a lot steak and kidney pies. I mean, it goes back, I want to say, centuries, okay, to the Renaissance. They've been doing this. And you can't find veal or beef kidneys around here anywhere. Yep. So hence, it's going to be a steak pie. And what we have here, we have, now look at these. I've got puff pastry, okay? Puff pastry and regular pastry. And what I did was, because I'm serving these pot pies in these dishes, yep, I took this and said, oh, that fits pretty good. So I used that for mold, okay?
Yep.
And what I want to do, I am going to put these in the oven, okay, to brown these up, because these are going to be the top of the pie. And you want to put this in a baking pan, yep, on parchment paper. Now, Mike, here's where you come in. I'm going to put this in. I'm putting that in. It should be in there for 8 minutes. Let me know when it's 5. I'll take a look.
All right. At 7:15, I'll do that.
Okay, great. And so for the steak pie, we've got the pastry. We have 1.5 pounds of beef tenderloin chopped into bite-sized pieces, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 shallot chopped, 1 carrot sliced, 1 celery stalk sliced, 1 onion chopped. We have 2 tablespoons of flour, 3 tablespoons of butter, and a half a teaspoon of thyme. So I'm going to heat up the oil in the pan over, I'd say, medium to high heat. Okay. And we are going to brown the meat. So I'm going to bring this over here. And when I get that going and it gets nice and brown, I'm going to remove the steak from the pan, put it aside, and then I'm going to cook all the vegetables and the remaining butter over here. And then I will incorporate the steak back into the pan, add the gravy. Oh, did you see the gravy?
Well, that looks really good.
2 cups of beef gravy. Then I'll mix everything up, put them in the bowls, and top it with the pie crust.
Excellent.
And that's your easy peasy, lemon squeezy steak pie. How's that sound?
It sounds delish.
Yeah. Anything with beef, right?
Well, yeah, you know how much I enjoy beef out of all my other meats, beef and chicken, but beef does top the list, and I was very excited when you sent me over the menu at the beginning of the week. I'm not a fan of peas, but I do eat peas. But I'm not I don't go out of my way to do it. But nevertheless, I think the beef pie was very interesting because I've had turkey pie, I've had chicken pie, but I've never had a beef pie. So I was really wondering, because just so you know, when I get your menu and I post everything online, which to remind the folks at home that in the description section of this show, in all the shows, the recipes, the ingredients, and directions. So just look on every show, you'll see that in the description page. So Terry, when you email me over all that, I only look at the ingredients. I'm always curious to see how it goes together, and I don't want to look at it ahead of time and say, "Oh yeah, she said she was going to do that." No, because I'm always surprised at the way that that you prepare things.
Sure. Well, it is a ton of fun. Oh, those pie tops are starting to get a little brown, which is good because we all know baking is not my forte.
You know that.
So when anything, involves pie crust or anything like that, I'll do it. Doesn't mean it's going to come out looking good.
Right.
Yeah. So the steak is browning up.
So you're just going to brown that and let it finish cooking inside.
Yes. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretty much cook these because they're small. They're in small bite-sized pieces.
Okay.
It won't take long for these to cook.
Sure.
Now I want to cook them and take them out so I can, saute the other vegetables with the gravy. But the beef will finish cooking when I put it back in the pan.
Sure.
And that's basically it. It does not go in the oven.
Gotcha.
So again, here's a nice, simple dinner, right? And it's kind of like when you look at the ingredients, you think of a beef stew, right?
Sure. You think a nice fall meal, or a nice like after you shovel the driveway kind of meal.
Yes.
Or it's snowing out, you got nowhere to go, and you just want to sit by the fire and enjoy a nice little happy meal. And that's exactly what this is. I mean, this says happiness.
Exactly. And here's the thing, no matter where you go in London or England for that matter, you go into the pubs, and the pubs are really big. And a lot of the pubs, they're like living rooms. You go in and they have sofas around by the tables because they spend so much time in them. And you always see this on the menu. You'll see steak and kidney pie. And it's just wonderful. It's just one of those things.
Speaking of pies, check the oven. It's 5 minutes.
Oh. Okay, give me 2 more minutes, Mike.
I will give you 2 more minutes.
And I'll tell you, it's smelling really good. Okay, so you've got what you called earlier Big Ben, right?
Yep.
Guess what? Big Ben is actually the name of the clock. It's called the Tower Bridge. So a lot of people really don't realize that. They just say, you know, Big Ben is actually called the clock tower. And Big Ben is the name of the bell in the tower.
Gotcha. Now, is that where all the crown jewels are kept up there somewhere? Is that the place, or is that a different?
That's the Tower of London.
Ah.
And I've seen the crown jewels. They're amazing. And the Tower of London is a fortress, it's a palace, and it's a prison. And I don't know if you've seen any TV series like The Tudors, or The Red Queen and The White Queen. It's all about that time, those dynasties. You had the War of the Roses. So you had the Red Roses, which was the House of Lancaster. Then you had the White Roses, which was the House of York. Then you had the Red and White, which was the House of Tudor. Now, I suggest anybody to watch the series The Tudor, starring Jonathan Rhys-Meyers as King Henry. Absolutely phenomenal. Very close to the historical story. And it's just amazing what they all went through. But again, this is very interesting.
So that was 2 minutes. You nailed that perfectly.
Yep, I'm going to give it another minute. And because I've got 2 different types of pastry, you'll see the difference in both of them, which is kind of interesting. Okay, these are almost done. But you know, you had a lot of things going on with the Tudors. You had the executions of Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard of King Henry VIII. You know, some think unjustly, but it was what it was, right?
Yep.
And if they called you a traitor, you were beheaded and your head was on a spike. And they would leave that spike up as a warning not to follow in their footsteps. But it was a very violent time. And it was King Henry that got England away from the Roman Church, the Catholic Church, so that he could marry Anne Boleyn. So that's pretty interesting. I'm going to remove the steak now.
Excellent.
Okay. And then I'm going to put the other vegetables in here, get that going. Okay, real quickly, then I'm going to throw the peas on because those have to cook too. So I'm going to melt this butter.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, don't forget your pie tops.
Thank you. Oh, I think this is good.
Good.
Oh, yeah, this is really good. And you can see the difference.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
See, one's a puff and one's a regular.
Yep.
Yikes. So I'm going to put that over there to cool off. I'm going to continue to melt this butter. And the butter Let's see, I'm going to put the fan on for a bit because that is starting to, I'm going to turn down the heat. That is really starting to smoke. I'm going to get all these over here and put these in.
All right. So, Terry, when you were at the Tower of London, did you notice
Sorry?
when you were at the Tower of London, did you learn about the 6 ravens
You
at the tower?
know, I did, but why don't you go ahead while I'm doing this
Well, you're doing
and
that? Okay.
you explain that to the viewers.
Well, the Tower of London, Charles II ordered for 6 ravens to be placed in the tower to protect it, which, okay. Apparently, 6 ravens are still kept there to the tower today, and they must remain there at all times due to superstitions, like everything else. Everything else is a superstition. So they're still there. For extra measures, each raven has its wings clipped so they can't fly away. And they even have a spare raven on hand in case one does fly away.
Yep, always have to cover the bases, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so these vegetables are in here. Now I'm going to add the flour, and that will make a little bit of a roux. Okay, kind of make it kind of thick. Now we do have the gravy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a little olive oil just to do that a bit and really get this nice and going here. I'll let that cook for a few minutes.
Excellent.
Get these out of here. And what I want to do is I want to throw the peas into the pan. And what we have here is a pound of frozen peas. Now I double my recipe, okay? But I have also 2 tablespoons of butter divided. I have a 1/4 cup of water and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And I'm going to put these peas into the pan very carefully so they don't go all over the place. And you want to use frozen peas because canned peas would really be too mushy. And even though the recipe is mushy peas,
You still want to give it some texture, maybe? Is that it?
yeah,
The
you
difference?
definitely
Texture?
want some texture. Now, if you can see my flowers over there,
I do.
I kind of, if you wanted to pull up the War of the Roses,
Yeah.
you could see the 3 houses and their 3 emblems. And the House of Tudor had red and white, as I mentioned earlier. So I thought I would kind of emulate that with my flowers. And then my rose choker. I don't know if you could see this, but they are roses
Yeah.
with kind of like crystals in the center of each one. And
I
this
see.
would have been kind of Renaissance like, what they would have worn with their gowns, because they were always adorned with jewels, even if they weren't royal.
Yep.
Everybody at court had jewels. I'm now going to add the gravy.
All right.
And this is beautiful. This is really nice. I'm going to get that going. Rinse off my hand a little bit. And you want to scrape up the bits and just incorporate all the gravy with the vegetables. It looks really good. With these peas now, I've got the peas going.
Okay.
I'm going to add the water. And I'm going to add one of the butters. You might say to yourself, ooh, mushy peas. It's very big over there.
Oh, I believe you on that. And I did say that to myself, ooh, mushy peas, because I'm not a big pea fan. However, when you have those chicken pot pies or you have chicken pot whatever, or I don't know why people still do it, shepherd's pie. Some people put peas in the shepherd's pie. I don't know why. But yeah, I'll eat it, but I'm not going to say, oh, your choice of vegetable tonight is peas and carrots. Well, it's definitely the carrots because I'm not going to go and grab the peas. It's just not going to happen.
Yep. And the peas, I mean, you've got the other vegetables in with the pie.
Yeah.
So this is a nice addition.
Sure.
I think. I'm going to turn down this gravy a bit with the vegetables. And I'm going to, at this point, put the beef back in. Okay. I'm just going to let that continue to cook.
All right.
This is really good. Okay. And then I'm just going to continue to cook these. I'm going to put the lemon juice in. Now, if you start with really frozen peas, the liquid from the peas will add to the mush.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to just let that go.
All right.
And then when I bring that back over, we will put the peas in here, and you have to hand mash them.
Really?
And then we'll add a little more butter. What is it? Do you hear my cat? That's one of them. That's Laverne.
Laverne, I love that. Laverne.
I know. I don't know what you want, little girl. She already ate. So I don't know what. Maybe she's feeling like she's over in London and she wants to go explore.
So when you were over in London, Terry, how did you get around? Did you Uber, bus, taxi?
Well, back then, as they are right now, there were the black cabs.
Oh, those nice, fancy-looking cars that you see all the time. Yeah.
And here's the thing. You can't just get hired and drive one. Every driver has to take a test called the knowledge test. And they have to memorize every street and alley in London before they get hired and before they can drive the cab.
Wow.
And they're wonderful. They're beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you a little better now that the fan is off.
There you go. Yeah, so basically, it's... I'm sure part of that is everyone, first off, wants to be in a London cab because those are great. We brought a bunch over here to America back in the 90s. They tried a little pilot program to see if that would help the Boston cab industry and, just the style of the cab. But it really never took off. You can still see some of them around here. Some police departments made old-fashioned looking cars out of them, police cars, so that was pretty cool. But but the thing is, London with the black cab, that's part of the history, and I believe you got to be like that because there's going to be a lot of tourists taking those cabs.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
So they're going to talk about Jack the Ripper and everything, and
I know, and you talk about Jack the Ripper, and he was never caught.
Yeah, still the only one, the only serial killer never captured.
Is that amazing?
Is really, really
scary
crazy.
Scary time back then. Another fun thing about London, you hear of Piccadilly Circus.
Yes.
Right? Well, it's not really a circus.
What?
You know what it is?
No, what is this?
It's an intersection of 4 streets.
Oh,
that
okay.
it's very confusing. So they call it's a circus. And Piccadilly Street is one of the streets. So
Okay.
that's why they call it Piccadilly
So they have
Street.
Piccadilly Circus, while we and I'm gonna say had, Kelly Square in Worcester. One of the most confusing intersections that we have.
Yeah, I think a lot of towns have them. I know Easton has 5 corners.
Right.
And yeah, it can get kind of confusing when you're out and about. This is looking good. The peas are coming along. They're starting to steam. I don't know if you can see.
Yep.
And the, the pudding is getting brown. So let's put it that way. And speaking of pudding,
Pudding, yes.
there is traditional tea, high tea. Okay.
Yep.
So tea is, and now if you go to the original shows, The Gathering, you'll see a tea party gathering where I had a show with Patty and Bindi and Chelsea, and it was a tea party. So the Brits are very particular about their tea. When I lived with Ian, his parents came over and stayed with us for 3 weeks. And you could not heat up their tea in the microwave, the water. It had to be in a kettle on the stove.
Yeah.
And it had to be in nice china. And you had to pour the milk first. And that protects the china from breaking.
You're right.
So you put the milk in, the cold milk, and then you put the hot tea in.
Right.
And every day they had to have their tea and little treats with it. Because to them, it's like they're waiting for dinner, and they eat their dinner around 8:30. And so from lunch to 8:30, that's just too long.
It's unreal.
That's why it came about.
Yeah, I knew about the milk thing, and some people feel that when you add the hot water to the milk too, instead if you do it the other way, the milk will cool the tea down faster, which I don't understand. So little. But anyways, the one thing that I never knew, but they always put the tea in the hot water. You don't put like some people will put the tea bag in there and then pour the water in. The reason they don't do that because the water will scorch the tea leaves.
There you go.
So you don't pour hot water on tea. You drop the tea into the hot water.
Yeah. And, there are, you have your tea bags. You have your loose tea.
Yes.
I know Patty and I, when the girls were in college, of course, Patty's my best friend. Bindi is Chelsea's best friend. We took them to the Taj down in Boston for high tea. And it was actually at there that we decided to have a show, a tea party gathering. So, so that was a lot of fun. And at the time, the girls couldn't drink. So Patty and I enjoyed, because they weren't 21 yet, but by the time I had the tea party, the show, they could.
Yeah, right.
So we had champagne for that show, and that, a lot of good shows, regular shows on The Gathering. One thing I wanted to mention, when you're over there and you talk, you think we love their accent. The minute we talk over there, they're like, oh my God, are you American? I so love your accent. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
It's amazing you say that too. Some of the best actors we have here in Hollywood today are all British, and they can pull off some of the best American accents. And it's funny that you mentioned about the accents in the languages, because one of my researchers told me that America is not really the biggest melting pot. It is London.
Yes.
There are over 300 languages spoken in London. And
it's true.
It's the most diverse city, one of the most diverse cities in the world. They house over 8 million residents who collectively speak 300 languages, from Bengali, Cantonese, Mandarin, Punjabi, and of course English.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah,
It
I
really
mean,
is. When you think about it, right? We came from over there,
sure,
right?
sure.
So that's not so surprising.
Well, I'm not so surprised because I do watch a lot of BBC America,
Yes.
and I watch. I love my BritBox. I love my all my other British channels that I have, and between those shows in Australia and some of the best television around, they really know how to write a show. So,
Absolutely. Now, you
but
know that bridge behind you, you know what that river is running through it.
of course I
It's
do.
called the Thames, and
Yep.
it's spelled Thames. So a lot of people pronounce it Thames, but it's really the Thames.
Right.
And it's 215 miles long, and it runs through a lot of England, including London.
Sure, and the only reason I learned about the Thames is the Benny Hill show, because it was the Thames production company, and it was a picture similar to what's behind me, showing off the Thames River. So
Yeah.
that's how I knew about that river. Good old
Exactly.
Benny Hill, another fixture of England.
Absolutely. Monty Python.
Yeah, he was.
Oh my God, right?
Oh,
Um,
there's been some famous people that resided there.
yep.
All right, so what are you
I'm
doing
going
now?
to now take the peas, as you can see. Now, when you do peas like this, Mike, you might really change your mind about mushy peas.
This is why I'm interested. Why do you think I'm watching?
Okay. So you've got the lemon flavor. We've got more butter. So you've got all this beautiful color, flavor. And I'm going to take my masher
Yeah,
and I'm going to mash it like mashed potatoes.
there you go.
And these are mushy peas.
Well, they sure are.
And you have this with anything whatsoever, as a side dish, of course.
Yes.
And now you talk about shepherd's pie. Do you know what they make their shepherd pie out of?
I would probably have to guess lamb.
You're right. You're correct.
Aha.
It's not Hamburg. It's lamb, ground lamb, and it's beautiful. I don't know if you've ever had a lamb burger.
No, I can't say that I have.
It's very good. You ought to give that a try too.
Oh, of course.
Very good.
When are you going to make it for me?
Whenever you get double vaccinated and want to come over.
All right, I'm there. I'm ready.
Sounds good. Oh boy, wait till you see this. 10 more minutes.
Excellent.
And we have the mushy peas. So I'm going to put that aside. So right now, we're going to make the British salad, British garden salad.
All right.
And if you want to learn more about Britain and being over there, especially during the war, Ian's parents, when they stayed, we did a show, Dinner with the Hadfields.
Yep.
And we did all English. It was a great
Yes.
show, English dinners. And she talked about what it was like growing up during the war and the rations and how, her father had to go out and kill a chicken in the backyard to feed them for a week.
Right.
I mean, just, it's really something, I have to say. But this salad could be a meal in itself. Now, you hear me say that a lot about the salads that I make, right?
Well, you see it. We see how big they are. Yeah.
Well, here's another one. And it's beautiful because you could make this for lunch.
Yep.
You could make it for dinner. You can make it for an entertaining meal. You're out cooking on the deck or whatever have you. But what we have here, we have 1 head of iceberg lettuce chopped, 3 tomatoes quartered, 12 scallions chopped, 12 radishes, 4 hard-boiled eggs. We have new potatoes, and I boil them. I kept them whole so that we could just, because when we eat it, right?
Right.
We can slice through it, no big deal. And I used canned beets and English cucumber, of course, right?
Yeah, you gotta have those.
You do. I left the skin on, and you see, Mike, they have ridges.
Yes.
So I didn't even have to run the fork through it.
Excellent.
Already there.
Our favorite decoration to a cucumber.
Yeah, so I'm going to put the salad, the lettuce, over here, and I definitely have a lot of salad, but that certainly will not go to waste. And then we're just going to build it. But I'm going to go check on
the pie.
The steak pie ingredients. We've got 7 minutes left.
Yep.
On the pudding. Ooh, boy, it's looking good. It smells great too. Oh, and how simple was that, right?
You're right.
I mean, nothing to it. That pudding. So with this, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just play around, right? And you can do it however you want.
Oh yeah, this is all artwork here because it's all presentation. You got all your ingredients. It's you're not building a tossed salad in a bowl that you're just going to pull out what you like. This is presentation.
That's right. And the nice thing about this is that you'll be able to go into it like this and get a little bit of everything.
Right. So we were talking about the famous people that live in London and so forth, but numerous famous people have lived there. Karl Marx, Charles Darwin, Sylvia Plath, Charles Dickens, Jimi Hendrix, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Florence Nightingale, and hundreds of others. And this is what I think is so cool. Blue plaques hang wherever these people lived. So you walk by some residence in London and you see a blue plaque, it's going to have a famous person on it. So that's always something to look out for.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Another thing that's neat, another area is Knightsbridge. Knightsbridge is where Harrods is.
Ooh, Harrods.
And Knightsbridge is also the home of a beautiful restaurant called Montcomb's, and it's still there today.
Huh.
And tell you a little story about that. We had dinner there, and it's down in a cellar, but it's beautiful. It's just a wonderful place. We ordered a whole fish, and the waiter came over, white gloves, whole fish on a platter with 2 spoons. He filleted that fish and put it back together.
Wow.
And then put it on the table. And that's how that was presented. And it was just amazing to me to see. Great. Yeah.
So, of course, getting ready for tonight's show with you and doing my research. Being the pandemic of COVID 2020, 2021, the Great Plague killed a third of Europe's population, 1665, over roughly 25 million people in Europe alone, okay? And this affected London mostly because of the narrow streets. And I always thought this was a joke in the Monty Python films, but they actually had times where people were going down called searchers with the wagons yelling out, "Bring out your dead." And that's right. And then they took them and they counted them into mass burial pits, some of which Londoners are still discovering to this day. And I'm not going to say it's a daily occurrence, but there'll be a dig going up somewhere in London and then digging up bodies from 1665.
Isn't that crazy?
I think it's nuts.
Yeah. So how does this look so far?
I tell you
my
that
goodness.
It looks fun.
Guess what I have to put on?
There's always room
Look
for
at
more.
this. Always room, right? Because you're building it, it's going up. Yeah, this is a crazy salad. And again, garden salad. They've got everything in here. I mean, absolutely everything, including the kitchen sink.
There you go.
Yeah, this is nice. And we'll be enjoying this for a couple of days. No doubt about it. Okay, I think that's good for now. I'm going to put these over here. And 3 minutes on the pudding. This is almost ready to be plated. Wow.
Moving right along.
Moving right along. I'm going to have the eggs and put them wherever they're going to not fall off the salad. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. But again, you know, from their garden, everything from their garden. And the dressing is interesting because it's a cream dressing, kind of like what I did a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Yes. Now I'm going to take these and now how about this, right?
Look at that.
This is like a showstopper. And this could feed an army. Now, I don't know if you're going to have an army over, but...
Well, as long as the governor doesn't find out about it, you can do what you want.
I think it kind of qualifies. I am going to take out that pudding. I think the pudding is done.
Excellent.
I'm going to shut this. I'm going to shut everything off. Oh, boy. Oh, look at this. How about that?
Wow. I love how that gravy just soaks it up. Wow.
Check it out. Look at that.
That is outstanding.
Boy, that's really nice. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, remove this over here a little bit. Yikes, you can tell. You know, I have to get the dressing going, okay?
Yes, the dressing.
And what we have, I want to put this over here. Now, I am going to put the ingredients right in here. And what we have 1 tablespoon of sugar. We have a 1/4 teaspoon of dried mustard. We have 1/3 cup of white wine vinegar, which I had to put in 2 of these. And then we have 1 tablespoon of finely chopped onions, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and then we have a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise.
Wow.
Now again, and this is the cream, right?
Yeah.
Little different. Little different. So let's see how this goes. Okay.
That works just fine.
I think that's pretty good. Let me get rid of this.
Yeah, that was fast.
Then I want to, now, if you remember, not too long ago, I tried to get my, I tried to get this off and it wouldn't come off, remember?
Oh, yes. Right.
Yeah, so let's see if I can do it tonight.
First try.
There we go. Yeah, and you can see it's like liquid.
Yeah,
And it's a cream, right? Yeah. So, and this is your...
That's perfect.
It is. And so you'll take your salad, put it on your plate, and drizzle some of the cream on it. And you want to do that when you plate it.
Right.
Okay. So this I'm going to move over here. I'm going to put this here. And now I think it's time that we bring the pies over, the steak pie contents. I'm going to put this here, bring over a spoon. Okay. And how simple is this? And the presentation for your family will be a lot of fun, right? And basically it is, it's like beef stew with a pie crust.
Sure.
On top. Yep. And you can make your homemade beef gravy or purchase it already made for a quicker dinner. Okay. And they were always trying to stretch their meals because they had a lot of wartime, more so than we saw. Of course. I mean, it's so much older, right? We haven't even touched on the monarchy.
Oh my goodness.
I know. That could be a whole show.
Where do you want to go with that?
That could be a whole show, Mike. Right? Okay. So there's that. That came out perfect, right?
Yep.
Now, let me see. I just want to kind of clear that up a bit. I want to move these over here a little bit so we can showcase my pies. Ooh, check it out.
Perfect.
Is that too cute or what? You'll be the talk of the town.
Talk of the town. Hello.
There you go. And now for the piece de resistance. Dun, dun, dun. Nothing would be British without gin and tonic, right?
Right.
And here we've got Beefeater, which, Buckingham Palace. I went and saw them, the changing of the guards. They're the Beefeaters, like the guy on the bottle. There's a map of London that you can see through the bottle, which I think is pretty cool. And here's an interesting fact. You go throughout Europe, you won't find a lot of ice. And they do it because it's hard to keep. And they don't like their drinks watered down.
Who does?
Now, when I'm home, I typically don't use ice in my drinks. I just don't. So when I was over there, it didn't bother me at all. But you'll find that.
Well, and you're using the Beefeaters gin, and do you know what their real name is? The actual real name? And now it makes sense why they call them Beefeaters. Here's their official title. I gotta take a deep breath. The Yeoman Wardens of Her Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress the Tower of London, and members of the Sovereign's Bodyguard of Yeoman Guard Extraordinary.
Yep. Nice, huh? And they ate a lot of beef.
Yeah, so I think it's perfect that, I mean, and they do various things. They do the Tower of London, they do Buckingham, they, of course, they're the ceremonial guard, but they do have real jobs. They are real guards. It's when they're
absolutely
in the uniforms, they're like that for a reason. And
absolutely.
Tourism.
And they're very serious.
Oh,
very
it's
serious.
serious business, and I always laugh when they try to get the palace guards to move.
Oh, yes, and they won't.
They don't flinch or nothing, but you also have to be respectful too. If you're
absolutely,
if you are disrespectful to them, you are getting arrested.
Absolutely. I'm going to take this time to toast HCAM. Right? Let me taste this. Ah, beautiful.
Nothing wrong with a little chit chat.
I'm back over there.
Any plans on going back?
Um, I need a trip, that's for sure. Um, Boy, vaccinations, right? I'm halfway there. And so I'm just waiting for things to get more back to normal. I definitely need to get away.
Right.
So who knows where, right?
Sure.
But
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I just can't wait to visit Europe. I just can't wait to go to London. Like I said, I've been so intrigued by it. Because of its history. Being so old, and I would just do anything to visit. And it's on my list of my
well,
many
it
places
should
to
be.
stop.
And we have two other shows for England on the list. Okay.
Excellent.
So we'll visit England again, but not in May.
Not
Not
in
in
May.
May.
No.
Not in May. We'll go across the pond again twice in May.
Yep.
Two very special places for me.
Excellent.
But yeah, those should be a lot of fun and a lot of good food for the both of them.
I'm looking forward to that a lot.
I have to tell you, yeah.
Yeah.
So boy, until then, I want to wish everybody a happy spring and looking forward to our next show on The Gathering in Quarantine, Terry's Travels.
Fantastic. All right, Terry. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening. Enjoy all that steak pie.
Thanks, Mike. You take care and everybody stay well. And I look forward to seeing everybody again.